Hello everyone. So welcome to SRS Academy online science study classes. Sometimes you may have heard that either from your friends or from your relatives, they may send you that you look like your parent or you may look like your grandparents. Otherwise, they may also tell you that your nose or your eyes or your hairstyle they may look like your parents or your grandparents. Do you think what is the reason behind it? Why do you look same? Is there any answer for this question? Yes, you may know the answer. That is, we call it as heredity. And your parents may also said that this is because of heredity you got all these characters either from your parents or from your grandparents. Then what do you mean by this heredity and what happens during this heredity process? So let me explain in this class. And those who are not subscribed to my channel, so please subscribe now. So here we will say that heredity, it is the process of transferring the genetic information or inheritance of the characters from parents to offspring. I will repeat again, heredity, it is the inheritance of the characters from parents to offspring. So we call it as heredity. So in this topic, we are going to study about monohybrid and dihybrid cross. But before studying this monohybrid and dihybrid cross, to understand the meaning of this heredity, so we should know some basic concepts. So what are those basic concepts? So let me explain that now. You may know that in this universe we can find so many organisms, and these organisms, they are not immortal, right? And then to maintain their generation and for the continuation of their generation, they uses a mechanism which keeps them for long time. That means the generation for long time. That is with the help of a process. We call it as reproduction process. I think you know the meaning of this reproduction process because you may have studied this in your earlier classes. Then what do you mean by reproduction? So it is a process of producing offspring from mother cell, or it is the process of producing daughter cells from mother cell. So with the help of this reproduction process, every organism they continues their generation, right? I told you that because they are all immortals. Are they immortal? No. To become that immortal, they will use this process and they continue their generation with the help of which one? That is reproduction process. Okay. So now we will study that cell division in brief. Just now I explained what is the meaning of reproduction, and then in this reproduction we can find two types. One is mitosis and second one is meiosis. Then where we can find this mitosis and then meiosis. So with this mitosis, it occurs in somatic cell. I will say this one, mitosis occurs in somatic cells. That means the cell which help in growth of the body. For example, it may be in your skin or in any organs. So these kind of cells we call it as somatic cell. So this mitosis, it takes place in somatic cell, and also keep it in mind, this mitosis cell division we call it as equational cell division. We'll call it as equational cell division. There is a reason why we are calling this as equational. Okay, and then if you move on to the second type of cell division, that is called as meiosis. So meiosis, it takes place in germ cell, or we will say it as it takes place in reproductive cell. That means it takes place only in the cell which are helpful for which process? Reproduction process. And also this meiosis cell division, we call it as reductional cell division. Okay, so you need to recall these two terms. Mitosis is called as equational cell division, and then meiosis is called as reductional cell division. Now I will explain why we call it as equational and why meiosis is called as reductional cell division. Now we can consider this as mother cell. So according to the definition of reproduction, it is the process of dividing of the mother cell to produce daughter cells. Now we will move on to the mitosis cell division. If you look at this mitosis, so a mother cell, it divides into finally two daughter cells. This is first one and this is one second. And then consider the mother cell has diploid number of chromosome. You call it as DNA, right? And then what is diploid condition? You can observe here, it is 2n condition. That means 4 chromosomes are present in the mother cell. So when this mother cell undergoes mitosis cell division, whatever the daughter cells are produced by the mitosis, they also contains same number of chromosomes. See, mother cell also contains 2n number of chromosome, whereas the daughter cells also contain 2n number of chromosome. Clear? That means the number of chromosomes remains same in case of daughter cells. In which process? That is in the mitosis cell division. So for that reason we call it as equational cell division. What do you mean by equal? Same, right? Now this mitosis process is not important for our topic. You know why? Because we are studying heredity, so which is related to reproductive process. So now we will concentrate mainly on which process? That is meiosis cell division. Now during this meiosis, it has two stages, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. So you will study the two stages of the meiosis in your earlier classes, but we will have a brief information regarding this meiosis. If you look at the meiosis process, at the end of this meiosis cell division, you can observe how many daughter cells are produced. Shall we count it? So 1, 2, 3 and 4. So after meiosis cell division, it produces 4 daughter cells, whereas mitosis cell division, it produces 2 daughter cells. And then one more difference. If you look at the number of chromosomes, see, in the mitosis, mother cell contains 2n number of chromosome, whereas daughter cells also contain 2n number of chromosome. That means equal in number, right? But here mother cell contains 2n set of chromosomes, whereas at the end the daughter cell contains only n number of chromosomes. So I will give you a brief idea. So here 2n represents how many number? For example, if it represents 4, then what will be n value? If 2n is 4, then what will be n? So n is equal to 2 itself, right? Because 2 2s are 4. If you add this 2 here, you will get 2 2s are 4. That means here the daughter cell contains only 2 chromosomes instead of 4. See, 2, 2, 2, 2. So this condition we call it as haploid. Clear? In mitosis, diploid cell again give rise to diploid cells, whereas in case of meiosis cell division, the diploid cell give rise to haploid cells. That means which contains half of the chromosomes in their cell. So for this reason, since the 2n is reduced to n, we call it as which one? Reductional cell division. The number of chromosomes are reduced. So these haploid cells, keep it in mind, these haploid cells we call it as gametes. We call it as gametes. If the mother cell contains 2n number, the gametes contain only n number. Okay, and then you know that, or you can recall that during reproduction process, these gametes, they combine together, right? After mating or after fertilization, not after fertilization, after fusion, right? That is called as fertilization. The male gamete and female gamete, they fuses together to form zygote. See, now male gamete contains n number of chromosome, female gamete also contains n number of chromosome. Together they make up 2n number of chromosomes. Clear? So this is the reproduction process which happens in the organism body. So I think I made myself clear in this part. This is only a basic information to understand the heredity and what happens in the gametes. Okay, and the meaning of diploid condition of the cell and haploid condition of the cell, and number of chromosomes in diploid condition and number of chromosomes in haploid condition. So now we will move on to the monohybrid cross. That is Mendel, who did his experiment on pea plant. So now, to show this heredity, Mendel, he selected a pea plant. As you all know that there is a reason why he has selected the pea plant. That is, this plant, it can be cultivated easily, and also it has so many contrasting character which is helpful to study heredity, right? As you can see in this table. So first character, stem height, which is the dominant character, tall, and recessive character is dwarf. That these dominant and recessive character, we call it as contrasting characters. That means opposite to each other. And then along with that, you also recall this, a character, it is represented by a pair of factors. I will repeat again, a character is represented by a pair of characters. That means factor, sorry, it is represented by pair of factors. So for tall, we will use the first letter of the tall word as the factor symbol, and for the tall nature, which is the contrast nature, that is recessive, that is dwarf. But here we will not use the D. Instead of that using D, we will use these capital letters in as small letters. Okay, and flower color. So which is the dominant nature? It is violet. Recessive is white. So we can take it as V as capital letter, and for white nature we can take it as small letter V. Okay, and then you can use in the same way. And for the shape of seed, I will take only one more example. We can take it as capital letter R, which represent round nature of the seed. And for wrinkled nature, since it is recessive, we can use small letter R. Okay, and for seed color yellow, which letters you are going to use? That is capital Y. And for green, recessive nature, small letter Y. So now by using this information, now we are going to study, that is Mendel monohybrid cross and dihybrid cross. So before moving on to that monohybrid cross, you must understand a law that is called as law of segregation. So what does the law of segregation states? Let us look at into this. The pair of factors for a given character separates in equal ratio at the time of gamete formation during meiosis. So I think now you got that point why I explained about meiosis. So what is meiosis? So meiosis, it is the cell division which helps in reproduction process, that is to form the gametes, and then the gametes, they contain haploid number of chromosomes compared to parent cell. That is, parent cell contains diploid number, that is 2n numbers, whereas the daughter cell contains n number of chromosomes. So let me make it some more simple. For example, if human cell, I think you know that human cell contains how many number of chromosomes? 46 chromosomes. Do you remember that? Yes. And then if you convert this 46 into pairs, what it will become? It will become 23 pairs, right? And then this 23 pairs, you know what, how we can write it? It is called as 23 into 2. So here this 23 we can call it as n numbers. Okay, see, now the 46 chromosome which are present in the human cell, that is in which number? 2n condition, that is called diploid condition. Okay, whereas when it undergoes meiosis cell division, this 46 divides into what? How many cells? 4 cells. So 23, 23, 23 and 23. See, this is not 23 pair, this is only 23 number. So it is n, 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 n. So this happens in case of meiosis process. Clear? And these cells we call it as gametes. Okay, I think this is clear for you why I explained about meiosis. So now we will move to the law of segregation. The pair of factors for a given character separates in equal ratio at the time of gamete formation during meiosis. So meiosis is over. Now what are the pair of factors for a given character? Just look at here, which is a character. So if I select only one character, that is stem height, this is a character, and this character has two contrasting form. One is tall nature, another one is dwarf nature. So according to this, the pair of factors for a given character. So here, which is the pair of factors for tall nature? For tall nature, the pair of factor is these two, a pair of capital letter T. So these are the pair of factors. Clear? So the pair of factors for a given character separates in equal ratio at the time of gamete formation during meiosis. For example, if the tall nature is represented by this T and T pair of factors, clear, these two separates in equal ratio at the time of gamete formation, that is they forms one T as one gamete and another T as another gamete. So this is called law of segregation. So based on this, we will study Mendel's monohybrid cross by taking these characters as example to study heredity. Why does the characters gets inherited by the children from their parents? So now, what do you mean by monohybrid cross? It is very simple. What do you mean by mono? So mono meaning single. Clear? That means for this monohybrid cross, we are selecting only single character. Keep it in mind, we are selecting only single character. So for that example, the Mendel took which plant? He took pea plant. So now from this character, a set of characters, we will select any one character of our choice. You can take any of your choice, either first one, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth or seventh. So now I will select first one. Okay, that is stem height character. It has how many contrasting form? Tall and dwarf. Now I will take one character, tall nature. Okay, and then if we cross tall into dwarf, this is tall plant, this is dwarf plant. And I will tell you one more thing, how we will do this. Please keep it in mind. I think you have heard about pollination, and in this you have heard two types of pollination. One is self pollination and another one cross pollination. So self pollination meaning it is the transfer of pollen grains within the same plant and same flower, whereas cross pollination is transfer of pollen grains from one flower to another flower of the same or different plant. Okay, so since we are studying this in the pea plant, we have to say about pollination also, because you may have the doubt that how it is crossing of tall plant on dwarf plant. How we will do this? That is, you will take a tall plant and to the tall plant flower you will cross pollinate the dwarf plant pollen grains. That's it. So now that pollen grain contains male gamete and the ovary contains female gamete, right? So these gametes are haploid in nature. So now we took two plants, that is tall plant and dwarf plant. If you cross these two plants, what you will get? For example, if it is the tall plant, if it is the very dwarf plant, what will be the daughter? Is it tall or dwarf? Some of you may have imagined that it may be intermediate, right? I think you will think in this way, and Mendel also thought in this way itself. But you know what he got? Instead of getting this intermediate, he got different answer. I will tell you how. Now we will write the factors for this tall plant and dwarf plant. So for tall plant, which is the factor? That is capital T into capital T. Now it should be crossed with dwarf plant. What is the factors for dwarf plant? From this capital T we will write small t. Okay, so now these are parent. So these parents, they should produce gamete. Clear? For reproduction they had to produce gametes. Now imagine or recall law of segregation. The pair of factors for a given character separates in equal ratio at the time of gamete formation during meiosis. So now based on that, during meiosis these parent they produces gamete that is in the equal ratio. The first gamete is capital T and the second gamete is again one more capital T from the tall plant. Now what are the gametes which are produced by dwarf plant? Can you say according to law of segregation? That is small t one gamete, another small t one more gamete. So now gametes are produced during reproduction process. So which is the next step after pollination? That is fertilization. What do you mean by fertilization? So fertilization is the process of fusion of gametes, right? So now how they will fuse? They will make a combinations, either this T with small t and either this capital T with this small t, or this capital T with this small t, or this capital T with this small t. So now write the fusions. Capital T small t here, capital T small t here, again capital T small t, again here capital T and small t. What you got here? Now you know what we got. All these plants are not intermediate. So here that Mendel, for his surprise, he got all plants are tall. He never get small plant or intermediate. See, when he crossed a tall plant with dwarf plant, he should have get intermediate, but here he got all plants are tall. You know what is the surprise? He's crossing the tall with dwarf, but where is the dwarf plant? Where does it went off? Can you see anywhere the dwarf plant? No, the plants which are obtained, they are all tall. So he called it as F1 generation. What is the nature? So he called it as F1 generation. So in the F1 generation, whatever plants he got, all are plants. That means only the dominant nature in the F1 generation, only the dominant nature is expressed. Now, he didn't stop here. He continued further, that is by self-pollination. Here we can call it as cross-pollination. Why? Because tall plant and dwarf plant both are opposite. So we can call it as cross-pollination. You know what he did now? He took the F1 generation plant, any one plant, okay, and he did self-pollination. So how? What do you mean by self-pollination? So self-pollination is, it is the transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma of the same flower, right? That means the plants which are obtained during F1 generation are all tall, having TT combination. Okay, so since it is self-pollination, again it is T and T. Reason, the whole plant contains same kind of factors as tall nature. So now it acts as parent. Clear? Now these parent has to produce what? Gametes. Now what are the gametes? According to law of segregation, capital T one gamete, small letter t one more gamete. Again from this parent, capital T one gamete, small letter t one more gamete. Now after production of the gamete, they must fuse or they must show fertilization. That means these gametes has to be fused. So capital T with this capital T. Again, what is the second combination? Capital T with this small t. Clear? See, from first gamete, here these two gametes fusion is over. Now left out is the small t with this capital T. But don't write small t first. Write capital T and then small t. Again, these two, small t, small t. See, capital T here, capital T, small t, and these two combination, capital T, small t, these two, small t, small t. Now what are the kind of plants obtained in this generation? See, all these three plants are tall and one is dwarf. Now you can remember that in the first generation, that is in the F1 generation, the dwarf nature, it did not appear. That means the dwarf nature skip one generation and this nature has appeared in the second generation. That is, now here we call it as F1 generation, sorry, not F1, it is called F2 generation plants. Clear? In the F1 he got all plants are tall, whereas when they are self-pollinated he got all, not all, 3 tall plants and 1 dwarf plants. In which generation? That is in F2 generation, and the ratio is, how many tall are here? 3 tall is to 1. So these called as phenotype ratio. It is called phenotype ratio of F2 generation. For which cross? Monohybrid cross. Clear? Then we can write genotype also. What do you mean by genotype ratio? That means the factors, the nature of the factor. For example, how many capital T are here? Capital T both. Then is to capital T small t is to, again repeated, then small t. Now capital T is 1 is to capital T small t. How many times are here? 2 is to small t is only one time. So 1 is to 2 is to 1 is the genotype ratio for Mendel monohybrid cross. I think you can practice this monohybrid cross by taking another example. That is, still you have remaining 6 characters. By using those 6 characters you can practice this Mendel monohybrid cross. And then you can see a table here. You know why we are having a table here? That is, this table is also called as checkerboard, or we can also call it as Punnett square. We can call it as Punnett square. So we can represent these crossings in this square also. I will show you how. Here we will write the gametes in these two sides. So for the first plant, this is the second plant. For one plant, we will write the gametes here. What is the gamete? Can you say? Capital T 1, small t 1. For second one, capital T here, small t. Now cross these two, capital T, these two. Now capital T, small t. Again here, capital T, small t. Again small t, small t. That means this is tall. This is also tall plant. This is also tall plant. This is dwarf plant. So we will represent in this way also. Clear? So this is about Mendel monohybrid cross. So now we will move on to the Mendel dihybrid cross. But before studying the dihybrid cross, you have to learn law of independent assortment. Now what does the law of independent assortment states? Just look at here. Factors controlling separate characters normally move independent of each other during gamete formation. So for example, I will show you factors controlling separate character. What do you mean by separate character? We will say two characters. You know why we have to say that? Dihybrid. What do you mean by di? Di represents two. In the monohybrid cross, we have selected only one character, but here we have to select two characters. So for example, say if I select height and then shape of seed, how many characters are here? Height is one character, shape of seed is another character. Now this height character has how many contrasting form? Two. One is tall and another one is dwarf. So now this side I will write the dominant nature, height, tall and tall. Clear? This is tall factor. Next, shape of the seed. Which is the dominant nature of shape of seed? That is round. So for round, since it is dominant, I will take it as capital R and capital R. Then if I write recessive nature, for height it is dwarf, for shape of the seed it is wrinkled. So small t is dwarf, small letter r is for wrinkled nature. Okay. Now factors controlling separate characters. Just now I wrote separate characters here. Move independent of each other during gamete formation. You know what happens? It is not necessary that the tall nature of the plant always should be in combination with dominant nature of shape of the seed, that is with round. Sometimes this tall nature, it may also be present with wrinkled nature. Clear? That means these factors or the gametes, they move independent of each other during gamete formation. I will show you how whenever you are studying this dihybrid cross and in the stage gamete formation. So now we will move to the Mendel dihybrid cross. Now what do you mean by di? Just now I said two. That means we have to select two characters for our example. Just now we will take up the same examples. Two characters. Which one? That is, we'll take height and we'll take second one, shape of seed. Okay. So there are two characters. I will write dominant first as parent. You know what we'll do? We'll take the parent as tall plant having round shaped seed should be crossed with dwarf plant having wrinkled seed. See, these two are the parents. The first parent is dominant in nature. That means it has tall plant. It is a tall plant with round shaped seed. And the second plant is, it is the dwarf plant which has wrinkled shaped seed. Clear? That means one is dominant plant, one is recessive plant. Now they produce gametes during reproduction process. Now if you use both law of segregation and law of independent assortment, you know what are the gametes produced by this plant. Just look at here. T, this T, it may combine with the first R. Okay, so one gamete is formed, and again the first T, it may combine with the second R. That is again T and R. Again, which is the remaining? The second T with first R, second T with second R. So again they will produce same kind of gametes. Okay, and then here also, first small t with first small r, first small t with second small r, and then second small t with first small r, second t with second small r. So small t, small r, small t, small r, small t, small r, small t, small r. So for this reason, since in the F1 generation they produce the same kind of gametes, I think in your theory classes your teacher, they may have wrote only one gamete as only TR, and here small t, smaller. Understood why they may have wrote only one gamete? Because whatever the gametes are produced here, they are all same. Here also they are all same. For that reason, instead of writing all four, they wrote only one TR and one small tr. So after gamete, what is the next step? So these gametes has to be fused, right? That is fertilization process. So then what they will do? Just this TR and TR will combine, capital T, and from here it will get small t. Here it will have capital R, from here it will have small r. Then what is the nature of the plant which is produced in the F1 generation? That is, the plant which is obtained are tall plant having round seed. Tall plant with round seed. Not only one, whatever the plants which are obtained during F1 generation, they are all tall and they contains round seed. See, but here you took how many plants? Two parents which are in contrast, one tall and round, dwarf and wrinkle. But in the F1 generation, can you see that recessive characters? That means, is there any dwarf nature and wrinkle nature? No. So you have got the same kind of result in Mendel monohybrid cross F1 generation also. You know what he did in the next step? That is, to prove this, he took the F1 generation plant and he made self-pollination. This is cross-pollination because both are opposite characters. Now he made self-pollination, that is capital T, small t, capital R, small r. Which generation? First generation plant. Self-pollination meaning within the same plant. That means same kind of factors. So now we will take this condition for the second generation, that is for F2 generation. Okay, capital T small t, capital R small r into capital T small t, capital R small r. Now these are considered as parent. So for reproduction, these parents must produce gamete. So how they will produce gamete? According to law of segregation and law of independent assortment. So according to segregation, the gametes, they receive equal number of chromosomes, and for independent assortment, they move in independent way. The gametes which are produced, they move in independent way. That means the capital T, see, capital T with capital R, okay, capital T with small r, again small t with capital R, again small t with small r. See here, it is not necessary that the dominant nature factor should always be present with dominant nature. Sometimes the dominant nature, it may also combine with the recessive nature. Okay, see here, dominant, 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 recessive, recessive, dominant, recessive, recessive. See, so these kind of combinations we call it as law of independent assortment. That means the factors, they move independently, the factors, they move independently. So this is called law of independent assortment. So these are the gametes for first parent. Then what are the gametes for second parent? Again capital T, capital R, then capital T, small r, again small t, capital R, then small t, small r. I think you can recall these gametes which you have studied in your regular classes. Now here, to write the combinations, we will not get the space that much to enter here. You know, for that what we'll use? We will use a checkerboard. Do you remember that? What is another name of the checkerboard? It is also called as Punnett square. So we will write one gamete in horizontal way and another plant gametes in the vertical way. Capital T, capital R. See, capital T, capital R. Next capital T, small r. Next small t, capital R, small t, small r. One plant gametes, and another side another plant. Capital T, capital R, capital T, small r, small t, capital R, small t, small r. Now we have written the gametes. Now we'll write the fertilization. What happens, how they combines together, and after combination what are the kinds of plants produced by these fertilizations. So now when these two combine together, we'll get capital T, capital T, capital R, capital R. Next, when these two combine together, capital T, capital T, capital R, small r. Next, these two, capital T, small t, capital R, capital R. So now I will write, that means I will complete this table. You can also practice in your notebook. And keep it in mind, whenever you are writing these factors, always the capital letter should be written first, then small letter. Okay, so now I have completed the table. Now just let us see what are the kind of plants we have obtained here. This is tall and round. Here again it is tall and round. Again here it is tall and round. Again here it is tall and round. Again this one tall and round. This plant also tall, and here what is it? Does it represent any round nature? No, it is the recessive nature, so it is wrinkled, wrinkled seed. Now here again this is tall, round seed. This is tall plant, recessive nature. This is a wrinkled seed. Again here this is tall plant with a round seed. This is tall plant with round seed. This is dwarf plant. Keep it in mind, this is dwarf plant with round seed. Okay, here it is, dwarf plant with round seed. Here tall with round seed. This is tall plant with wrinkled. This is dwarf plant and round seed. This is dwarf plant with wrinkled seed. So we have completed this table. Now we have to write its phenotype ratio, that is what are the type of plants we have got here. Just look at here once, tall round, right? Tall round, tall round, tall round, one kind of plant. Next tall wrinkle. After that, is there any new kind? Dwarf round, third type, and then dwarf wrinkle. So right here, now we are writing phenotype ratio. What do you mean by phenotype ratio? So phenotype ratio meaning what are the characters which are observable, that means which we can see. So we can see the tall nature, we can see the shape of the seed, right? So for that reason we can say that as phenotypes, and here we are writing phenotype ratio. Now we'll write the four type of plant which we have obtained. Did we got tall plant with round seed? Yes. Did we got tall plant with wrinkled seed? Yes. Then did we got dwarf plant with round seed? Yes. And then we have got dwarf plant with wrinkled seed. Now if you count the numbers, you just count here, how many tall and round are here? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, right? So tall and round is 9 plant. Next, how many tall and wrinkled are present? 1 2 3. So tall and wrinkled is 3 is 2. Dwarf round, how many are present? 1 2 3. So dwarf and round plants are 3 in numbers. Then dwarf wrinkled, how many are there? Only 1. So this 9:2, 3:2, 3:1 is the phenotype ratio of dihybrid cross. Clear? So then whatever the parents we took, they are only tall round plant with dwarf wrinkled. But at the end, that means after second generation, you know what we got? We got 2 new plants, that is new combinations. One is tall wrinkled, which is not present in the parent, and then dwarf round, again which is not present in the initial parent, right? So these 2 new combinations are produced after F2 generation. So we call these kind of transformation of the genetic information from one parent to their daughters, we call it as heredity, right? That is inheritance of the characters to their offspring, we call it as heredity. So it may take place in any way, that means it produces new combinations. So because of this reason, now you know what we have variations. So due to the presence of these variations, it makes the organism strong to adapt themselves to the changing environment. Is this clear? And if you like this video, so please press the like button and share with others also. Thank you.